Hello and welcome to a Taxware video tutorial. Today we will be going over e-file validation, which is a step in the e-file process where the program checks to make sure that your return is ready for e-file. To access e-file validation, you will first need to navigate to your client's summary menu. From here you will click the box that says Validity Checks. There are two parts to the Validity Checks screen. The right-hand side of this screen are Schema Validation errors. Schema validation is something your return will have to pass when sending the return through e-file. The validation process checks to make sure that all the information that is required is present in the return and that the data is in the correct format. If a required field is missing or if something is in the wrong format, the program will show you that on the right-hand side. Each validation error is split into three parts. The first is the error message, in this case that we are missing something called dependent first NM in the dependent detail part of the XML. The XML is the actual data that is transmitted to the IRS or state when you submit a return. The next part of a validation error is the XPath, which is where in the data structure that the issue was found. In this example, we can see it says return/return data/IRS1040/dependent detail, so we can see that the error is in the dependent information on the return. The last portion is the location of error, which despite its name is the least useful part of the error. It simply tells us where in the XML the error has occurred. The program will actually highlight where the error is if we go into the XML view of the return by hitting the tab at the top. So when we read this error, we see that we are missing a dependent's first name in the dependent information. Let's fix that. Now we can see that by entering in the missing information, the validation error has been cleared. Let's go through one more to get a better understanding of how these work. This error says that an element has invalid content. Invalid content means that something is not formatted in the correct way. In this case, the element is a zip code, and if we read further, it actually tells us a value, 9101, which is not a valid zip code. So we know what we are looking for now, a bad zip code, but where do we look? The XPath will give us the answer. In this case, it mentions the Schedule C and business address. So this error is saying that we've entered in a bad zip code on the Schedule C business address. Let's fix that. Now that we have addressed the issue, when we return to the validity checks, we can see our right-hand side is clear, meaning there is no more schema validation errors. On the left we still have errors though, which we refer to as internal validation errors. These are validation errors that the program has detected will cause a reject not related to improper schema if sent in. In this case, it states that the business code is missing on our first Schedule C. For many of these types of errors, we can actually double-click on the error to take us to that location. By double-clicking on the item, we have been taken to the Schedule C input, where we can enter in the business code to eliminate the error. We have one more red error, and this one is quite common. It says the error is on Form 8879 and that the taxpayer PIN is missing. This error simply means we haven't printed the 8879 yet, which is required for all e-files. The program will automatically put your return through validation before it attempts to send the return, and will prevent e-file if it has any errors. If you get a message when trying to e-file that says there was an error reading in the schema, that means you need to come here to the validity checks in order to fix any issues that have been detected. One last note is that the program can only check the structure of the return, and the validation system does not prevent every reject. No program has access to the IRS database, and you may still get rejects on things like invalid social security numbers, duplicate returns, and certain math errors that can only be checked on the IRS and state side of e-filing. This concludes the e-file validation tutorial. If you have further questions, feel free to email us at support@taxwaresystems.com or give our technical support line a call at 1-800-877-1065. We'll see you in the next video, and thank you for choosing Taxware.